which is rich coming from Kamala Harris, whose economic policies have directly led to inflation.
Tariffs are inflationary.
Well, not always, right? Let's just take.
They're either inflationary or people aren't buying the products anymore.
Well, let's just take. Sorry.
JD Vance actually might not know what a tariff is. This dude might not know what a tariff is. Lord have mercy. It's almost like JD Vance is intentionally nuking the Trump campaign with every single interview that he does. He just did a hit on CNBC where he got fact-checked repeatedly on Trump's economic proposals, if you even want to call them that. But JD Vance floundered live on air, and I want to break that down. Plus, I want to dissect some of these proposals in a way that the mainstream media really doesn't. But first, let me highlight this post that Laura Loomer just sent out. Now, Laura Loomer is a far-right conspiracy theorist who has been traveling with Trump over the past few days. She traveled with him to the debate before he floated a conspiracy theory about immigrants eating pets. She then went to the 9/11 memorial ceremony with him after she has floated conspiracy theories about 9/11 being an inside job. She is a vile human being, and that was only reinforced today. And my broader point is she has the ear of Donald Trump. This person is flying around with Trump and has the ear of him, and that is why he has been so extreme over these past few weeks to months. She tweeted out, in a trigger warning because this is a disgusting post, "Hey, at Marjorie Taylor Greene, remember when you destroyed your family so you could have sex with a Zangief cosplayer? Tell me again how you and the Arby's in your pants are representatives of the GOP. You couldn't even run your own family. Don't tell me how to run my free speech." Okay, first of all, I hate Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I hate that I'm about to run defense. I'm not even going to run defense. There is no place in our politics for language like this or for attacks like this, no matter who you are. But I thought I was dreaming because she typed this when she was probably next to Donald Trump. This is a person who is going through an online meltdown, and she has, or a real life meltdown, and she has the ear of Donald Trump. That is incredibly terrifying. And if he gets back into office, that only reinforces that he will surround himself with loyalists who will inevitably be the craziest people possible. If you believe that the 2020 election was stolen, you are necessarily going to be out of touch with reality, and that's Donald Trump's litmus test. Which brings me to this clip of JD Vance saying, if immigrants brought prosperity, America would be the most prosperous nation on the planet. But who's going to tell JD Vance?
Town. If the path to prosperity was flooding your nation with low-wage immigrants, then Springfield, Ohio would be the most prosperous country and the most prosperous city in the world. America would be the most prosperous country in the world because Kamala Harris has flooded the country with 25 million legal aliens. What's actually happened is that over the past 3.5 years, while we've had this massive influx of illegal labor, what's happened? We've had skyrocketing inflation, lower take-home pay, Americans more dissatisfied with the direction of the country and the economy than they've been in a generation. This is not the path to prosperity, no matter how much a Wall Street bank says that it is.
Okay, so a few things. JD Vance is completely wrong here. It's a classic case of confusing causation and correlation. Yes, more immigrants are coming into the country, and yes, inflation did increase, but the inflation was not caused by immigration whatsoever. It was caused by many reasons, such as supply chain disruptions during COVID, supply chain disruptions from Russia invading Ukraine, Donald Trump's massive deficit spending even before COVID and during COVID. All of these things fed into inflation. None of those things were immigration. And also, this country is built off immigration. I feel like the mainstream media doesn't reiterate this point enough, but this Boston University article reads, when Americans mark their presidential election ballots later this year, immigration will be the top of mind, according to a Gallup poll. And one of the toughest talkers on the topic is GOP nominee Donald Trump, even though he talks about it, but then he tells Congress to nuke a bill that was introduced by Langford. He said, quote, when you have millions of people coming in, they're going to take your jobs. But the thing is, that is not how it works. Many political candidates demonize immigrants, but the headline finding is that immigrants are good for local economic growth. And in particular, educated migrants are doing a lot of that. At the same time, the data point to why some people might have problems with this. In working for a paper for the National Bureau of Economic Research, Hassan and his colleagues examined decades of U.S. migration data to look at the impact of new arrivals on economic growth, wage levels, and innovation, which they measured through new patents filed. Quote, we find that when you have 10,000 extra immigrants arriving in the given U.S. county, the number of patents filed per capita in that county dramatically increases by something like 25%. It was an effect that rippled out as far as 150 miles. The broader point here is that immigration brings diversity of thought and innovation innovation in the country. That is how America became to be as prosperous as we are. The Industrial Revolution, many of these great leaps that America has taken forward could not have happened without immigrants here. So the idea that Donald Trump wants to do this mass deportation is honestly disgusting. It sickens me. My grandpa immigrated from Syria and he started his own business. He now is a successful business owner with his brother. He has a small family business and he slept in his car after he moved here from Syria. That is a real story. And now he's contributing to the economy more than 99% of these Trump supporters who want to stop immigration. Watch JD Vance get fact-checked in real time.
What would the first regulatory actions that another Trump administration would begin with on day one?
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby.
It's the most important thing that we can do. It lowers inflation. It creates a lot of good jobs. It makes it more competitive for us to manufacture in our country because, of course, a lot of the inputs.
Just had Amos Hochstein on, who said this is the greatest renaissance in American energy production ever under the Biden administration.
Oh, I think that's preposterous. I mean, look, we're way below baselines in oil production per day. You talk to folks who work in natural gas, they'll tell you we could be producing 2-3 times as much natural gas in this country. It's been a total disaster under the Biden-Harris administration. And again, you just look at the energy costs. You look at how much Americans are paying for energy compared to 3 years ago. If it was so successful, then why are Americans paying 40% higher when we're sitting in Pennsylvania, we're sitting on the Saudi Arabia of natural gas.
We're producing more crude oil than any country ever.
We're producing a lot less crude oil than we could be producing. Of course, America has a lot of crude oil, but if you look at what we were producing...
He's literally BSing. We are right now producing more crude oil than any country ever, as the CNBC analyst pointed out. And also, we are in a renaissance right now of different types of energy, and JD Vance is BSing his way through because he doesn't have any actual policies. Watch JD Vance get confronted on Donald Trump's tariff policy, and it is absolutely hilarious watching him flounder. After this, I want to debunk a lot of the stuff he says.
They're telling about you that you don't agree with.
Well, I think one of the things that says, for example, about Donald Trump's economic policies is that somehow they're going to jack up inflation, which is rich coming from Kamala Harris, whose economic policies have directly led to inflation.
But tariffs are inflationary.
Well, not always, right? Let's just take...
They're either inflationary or people aren't buying the products anymore.
Well, let's just take one example. So one of the classic examples that economists use to attack, or some economists, I should say, use to attack Donald Trump's economic policies is the tariffs that he imposed on washing machines and other dishwashers, sorry.
JD Vance actually might not know what a tariff is. This dude might not know what a tariff is.
On dishwashers. So they show a chart that says, well, look, a few months after this tariff, the price of dishwashers went up a little bit. But if you look over 2 years, actually the price of dishwashers went down. You induced a lot of American factories to invest in American workers and American-made products, and the price of dishwashers has actually lagged behind the price of a lot of other home appliances. So sometimes when you induce...
Tariffs are nothing but a tax on goods paid by the consumer, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Donald Trump start an actual trade war by trying to push tariffs? This article reads, Trump tariff threats will trigger import rush, says trade experts, and consumers will pay the price. So even his threats could cause inflation and cause this stuff, but if he actually did it, it would be terrible. These are the economic proposals of a man who doesn't know what he's talking about and is just repeating what the last person told him without fully understanding it. Someone definitely just told him, hey, if you tax other countries, then you can pay for stuff, and he's like, oh, is that what tariffs are? No, it's not. Trade experts tell CNBC additional tariffs, such as those proposed by Donald Trump, will fuel supply chain inflation and lead to higher consumer prices. Tariffs imposed by the Trump administration led to a doubling in ocean freight rates in 2018, but JD Vance wants to cite dishwashers. You want to cherry pick dishwashers when tariffs, the entire goal of a tariff is to disincentivize a country from doing something else, from doing some sort of behavior. That is generally the goal, and you do that by increasing the price of exports, and then that increases the cost for American consumers, therefore disincentivizing the consumers from buying those goods. So when American citizens are buying less goods from China, for example, China is losing money, and they're going to want to change their behavior. They're going to be incentivized to change their behavior, but Donald Trump somehow thinks that this money is coming from China when it's not. It's meant to disincentivize China. Either way, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button, and have a great day. Peace out.